The Kent School District Board meetings are held in public on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. at the Administration Center in accordance to the Washington State Open Public Meetings Act. Regular meetings include presentations and reports dealing with district operations, as well as time set aside for public comment. Now, here are your Kent School District Board of Directors. Welcome to tonight's board meeting.
All right. Thank you. I'd like to call our regular meeting to order. I've asked Jacob Dreyfus to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's nice to see a full audience. Welcome to our meeting. This is a meeting of the board which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We allow opportunity for public comments later in the agenda. If you would like to address the board, fill out a blue card. Looks like this. They're back there on the wall. And bring it up to the dais. If you wish to speak to an agenda item, please indicate on the card, and your name will be called at that portion of the agenda. You will have 3 minutes. So at any point in time, if you want to put a card together, just bring it up there and it'll be passed down this way, or over here, I guess. Dr. Watts, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, President Brewer, there is one change. I would like to let everyone know that Representative Sullivan and Senator Fain, as you know, were scheduled to share words and information with us today. Fortunately, they are needing to reschedule and are working with Director Burchard at this time to determine future dates for that presentation.
Okay. Thank you. We have 5 proclamations to read tonight. So,
Board President, if you could go ahead and make a motion
sorry.
on the change to the agenda, that'd be great. Thanks.
Forgot about that. We need a motion to
Remove the item from the agenda.
Okay, remove that item of the senator and the representative presenting tonight from our agenda.
I so move.
I'll second that.
All right. I don't think there are any questions or discussion. All in favor of removing that item from the agenda, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Again, we have 5 proclamations tonight, and we will start with the National School Lunch Week.
Whereas having access to and eating a nutritious lunch is an important part of students' educational day and positively impacts their ability to learn, and whereas the Kent School District is an active participant in the National School Lunch Program, which is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children with the goal to provide nutritional, attractive, and affordable lunches to all students, and whereas the district staff of the Food and Nutrition Services Department work together to provide a quality lunch program that offers healthy choices that include local and regional food products identified through an expanding farm-to-school program, promotes nutrition education through menu choices, product merchandising, and working with community partners, and actively supports the goals of the academic community. And whereas the School Nutrition Association has announced School Lunch Snapshot as the theme for National School Lunch Week. It's about sharing the best real images of today's school lunch. Therefore, be it resolved, the Kent School District Board of Directors supports the work of the Food and Nutrition Services staff and proudly proclaims the week of October 12th to the 16th National School Lunch Week in the Kent School District.
All right, do we have Mr. Ogg, are you here? And any other lunch people who want to come up and accept this proclamation? All right, please join us.
President DeBruler, board members, Dr. Watts, Ms. Everett, thank you so much for your support. I am very honored to accept this on behalf of, we have a great staff, and they get up early in the morning, just like a lot of the folks do in the district, and things happen just like that. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We appreciate your service so much. Thank you. Ask him to stay. Oh. At the end of all 5 proclamations, we're going to have people come and do pictures, so if you'll stay with us for the 5 proclamations, that would be great. Our next one is National School Bus Safety Week.
Oh, I'm very excited I get to read this because a little over a year ago, I got to ride on one of our routes, and I was so impressed with the interactions of the bus driver with the students and how he kept their safety in mind, too. So, whereas National School Bus Safety Week is an active and evolving public education program and is an excellent way for parents, students, teachers, motorists, school bus operators, school administrators, and community members to join together to address the importance of school bus safety. And whereas Kent School District buses meet or exceed federal and state regulations, consistently receiving 100% passing score in the annual inspection by the State Patrol. And whereas many students begin and end their day with a school bus ride, approximately 19,700 students are transported daily in 124 school buses traveling over 1,712,131 miles each year. Whereas the key to school bus safety lies in qualified, competent, and capable school bus drivers, mechanics, and support staff. And whereas the board recognizes the high caliber of its transportation team and commends the transportation services staff for the exemplary job of safely transporting students. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Kent School District Board of Directors emphasizes the importance of student safety and proclaims the week of October 19th through 23rd, 2015, National School Bus Safety Week in the Kent School District.
Transportation representatives here.
Great. I should say, too, my neighbor works in the transportation department, so I'll have to go home and tell her tonight. Congratulations. Thank you to all of you.
President DeBruler, the school board, Dr. Watts, thank you very much for your support. We take a lot of pride in transporting our students safely every day to and from school. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Next proclamation is National Physical Therapy Month.
Great, thank you. So whereas the Kent School District is committed to supporting students with special needs and providing every student with equal access to education regardless of physical needs, whereas the American Physical Therapy Association recognizes how physical therapists and their assistants improve people's lives by restoring and improving their abilities and movement, and whereas the Kent School District encourages staff, students, and community members to help increase awareness of the benefits of physical therapy during the month of October. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District proclaims the month of October as National Physical Therapy Month in the Kent School District and calls upon all citizens and civic organizations to join in the national effort to raise awareness of physical therapy and how therapists and their assistants improve students' access to education. So if I could have our representatives for physical therapy.
President DeBruler, Board of Directors, Dr. Watts, thank you very much on behalf of our physical therapists in the Kent School District.
We appreciate your service. Thank you. I apologize. I got out of sequence here. I was looking at my laptop and not at the script here. So School Principals Month is the next one.
Yep, it's my pleasure to read this one, and I felt a certain affinity to the principals because as a former executive director of an assisted living community, we really did have lunchroom fights. Agnes and Wilma did fight over Elmar. There were cliques that we had to manage, so I do feel a little bit bond with our school principals. Whereas the National Association of Secondary School Principals and the National Association of Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October 2015 as National Principals Month. Whereas principals are educational visionaries, instructional and assessment leaders, disciplinarians, community builders, budget analysts, facility managers, and administrators of legal and contractual obligations. And that's a lot of hard work. Whereas principals work collaboratively with teachers and parents to develop and implement a clear mission, high curriculum standards, and performance goals. Whereas principals create school environments that facilitate great teaching and learning and continuous school improvement. Whereas the vision, actions, and dedication of principals provide the mobilizing force behind any school reform effort. Whereas the celebration of National Principals Month honors elementary school, middle school, and high school principals in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District proclaim the month of October as National Principals Month. Thank you for all your hard work.
We have our principals up, please. Yay.
President DeBueler, Dr. Watts, Board, I'm more than honored to accept this on behalf of my fellow principals. And Mr. Hanscom, you've just proven my theory that all adults are just oversized middle schoolers. So.
Thank you so much for all that you do. The final proclamation is the National Filipino American History Month, and it's my pleasure to read this one. I hope I don't mispronounce words and names, but if I do, please forgive me. I think I read this last year, and I actually practiced, went online and found out, make sure I practiced the words, so I said them, and I didn't do it this year, so. Whereas Filipino Americans are one of the largest Asian American and Pacific Islander ethnic populations in Washington state and the fourth largest in the United States. And whereas Filipino Americans contribute to the enrichment and quality of life in our state and the nation. And whereas the earliest documented Filipino presence in the continental United States was October 18th, 1587, when the first Luzones Indios arrived in Morro Bay, California. Whereas Filipino American History Month provides an opportunity to promote the student of Filipino American history and culture, recognize the richness of Filipino American ethnicity, and honor the contributions of Filipino Americans, especially their service with distinction in the United States military. And whereas when school, parents, and communities work together as partners, our children benefit. And whereas Washington educational leaders are developing programs and resources to support stronger partnerships between families, schools, and communities. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors in the Kent School District joins Washington State Governor Jay Inslee in proclaiming the month of October as Filipino American History Month. So we have Dr. Pio DeCano. Yes. Did I say that right? Yes. Would you come up and accept this, please? Actually get 3 copies, so.
Yeah, that's great. Requested. Thank you again. My remarks will be brief, although I assume I have some extra time since the rest of you that had proclamations didn't. But I do want to, again, thank Dr. Watts and President DeBruler and the board for declaring October Filipino American History Month. I just got back from Washington, D.C. Well, I didn't just, I got back about a week ago, and the White House proclamation event took place, and it was a very, very strong event, but it doesn't match what happens down here at the school district. I retired as a high school counselor up at Nathan Hale. I spent 25 years in education. And the impact of having historical material delivered about your communities is very, very important to the self-esteem of many of the students that attend school. And my father brought a lawsuit against the state of Washington because Filipinos couldn't own land in the state of Washington due to a clause in the Washington State Constitution. He won at the Superior Court level, and this was in 1940. He won at the Superior Court level. By law, it goes to the Supreme Court on appeal, and he won at the State Supreme Court in 1941. So it's those kinds of things that add the fabric and nuances to our own overall historical experiences. And those are the kinds of things I represent. I'm a national trustee for the Filipino American National Historical Society, which is headquartered in Seattle. And by the way, if any of your teachers are looking for curriculum materials or something to build a lesson plan around, this has the largest archives of Filipino American history in the United States, and it's stored at the Immaculate Conception Church right now. Let me close by reading the proclamations from the White House. It reads, I'm honored to join in marking Filipino American History Month and in reflecting on the struggles and victories of many Filipino Americans who have helped shape our nation. Generations of Filipino Americans have lent their unique voices to the vibrant diversity of origins, cultures, and communities that make America what it is. Their legacy speaks to the extraordinary spirit of enormous purpose of unity forged through the ideals that bind us together as one people. That has always been central to our nation. And he goes on to say, "50 years ago, courageous farm workers in Delano helped bring about progress that would never forever change the labor movement, both within the Filipino American community and our country as a whole. And in the decades that have followed, Filipino American citizens have helped expand our nation's promise throughout every aspect of our society. As you come together to celebrate the extraordinary ways of Filipino Americans have contributed to our country, you have my warmest regards, Barack Obama." Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I have a copy of that for each of you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No, but they complain about it all the time.
Stress. Thank you.
We're going to take a few minutes now to do some photos, our photo ops. So let's have our, get it right, National School Lunch Week. Let's do that one first. And have all our food service people come on up.
I'm ready to go.
Love it. We're ready with our presentation, Race to the Top, Project 3A and B, which is pre-K through third grade strategies and systems.
President DeBruler, members of the board, Dr. Watts, thanks for the opportunity to let us share with you our Race to the Top work in pre-K third grade systems in Kent. This grant is divided into two parts. The first part is a non-competitive part. Its monies are awarded, it's that magical formula that I mentioned earlier today from the ESD, so that we can plan and strategize the work around the actual competitive grant, which is the second part of the project. And the competitive work focuses on creating leadership in our pre-K3 system, increased kindergarten registration, and then work around WA kids as well. This is the budgets that we've been awarded. Again, the Project 3A has been awarded from the ESD for the planning work, and this last year they also threw money in for the parent engagement work at the Harvard Institute in Boston. And Project 3B is the competitive piece that is all of the work that Paige and Alice are going to talk to you about now. Thank you.
So I'm Paige Meyer, Director of Early Learning, in case some of you don't know. I'm going to talk to you about the Pre-K third grade advisory team or committee. This is a committee that meets monthly. It is a collaborative cross-sector committee that brings groups, our stakeholders together to really talk about how we're going to prioritize pre-K through third grade efforts, and also formalizes decision-making roles about what things we're going to do with our P3 money and time. We regularly share updates and solicit feedback from our experts on this committee monthly, and we have been working with them to develop and implement a vision for preschool to kindergarten transitions in the Kent School District. Our areas of focus this year are cross-sector work, family engagement, and continuity and pathways. These are taken from the Framework for Planning, Implementing, and Evaluating Pre-K through Third Grade Approaches, which is a framework that was authored by Christy Cowers at the University of Washington, and I believe that framework was shared with you last spring. There are 8 areas of effort in that framework, and these are the 3 that we feel are most appropriate for the P3B work. So cross-sector work focuses on putting those structures in place with all of the stakeholders at the table and creating formal linkages between early learning programs and the Kent School District. Family engagement is working on that triangle of partnership between families, schools, and early learning partners. And then continuity and pathways is that focus on making sure that every child in the Kent School District has a pathway for high quality preschool through third grade education. This is not meant for you to be able to read. It is a visual that shows you what we call, this is the district and community activities matrix. And yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to read this, but I will bring it back to you at another point in time when it's more complete. We are still showing this to various different groups and getting feedback to make sure that we're reflecting all of our community and district activities on here. Very quickly, across the top are all of the areas of effort in the framework, and down the side are the district and community activities. The columns here are what we call the areas of strategies that we're using to reach those buckets or areas of effort. So at a later point in time, I will go more in depth on the work around that. Oh, wrong clicker. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Alice right now to speak to you about the Ready for Kindergarten program.
Good evening. It's nice to be here. It's very tall. So Ready for Kindergarten is actually a parent program that we were able to implement last year. And as you can see on the slide, we served 47 families last year by implementing this program to families for 3 and 4-year-olds. So if they had a 3 and 4-year-old child, they were enrolled in our program. We did have this program up and running at 2 schools, Kent Valley Early Learning Center and at Panther Lake. At Kent Valley, we were able to provide it in Spanish and in English. At Panther Lake, it was in English. And we provided childcare for families so that they had the opportunity to be there learning with the toys and tools that they then take home, and their children were in being cared for so that they could focus on the learning that the facilitators were presenting to them. Part of the work around that was that Paige and I trained facilitators who led the parent sessions, and they were stable facilitators who taught those 3 sessions for each of the class sessions. The program is 3 sessions for each grade level band or age level band, so 3 and 4-year-olds. So in front of you, you actually have some examples of the toys or tools that parents receive when they're enrolled in the classroom and when they're there actively learning about these. And as you can see on the slide, there are some pictures of the materials that were introduced to families, and then families take those home to use with their children. Our plans for expansion for this year actually will have us adding classes at East Hill, at Daniel, Meridian, and Park Orchard. We're continuing the classes that we have at Kent Valley and at Panther Lake. And so this year, we'll be beginning those classes. Last year, we did 3 and 4-year-old families. We're rolling those families up to 4 and 5-year-olds. So we're right now actively recruiting the families that were in our program last year to begin the program this year as 4 and 5-year-olds. At Daniel and at East Hill, we'll begin those programs with 3 and 4-year-olds so we can then roll the program up again. So we're really excited about that starting here real soon. So, and there's just another picture to show you parents and the facilitators in action. So thank you.
We wanted to put a human face on the things that we're doing because it is so much about the parents and the kids. And I neglected to mention we have at least 2 members of our early learning advisory committee in the audience, Susie and Pam. If you'd raise your hands. So, okay, the next and last thing that we're going to talk to you about is Summer Jumpstart. And this is a kindergarten transition program that we've been doing for 2 years. This next year will be our last year through Race to the Top grant funding. So an overview of it is that we hosted it at 9 schools last summer. They were the roadmap identified high needs schools. It was held for 3 consecutive days, 4 hours daily, and we served 268 students. We employed 18 teachers and 70 paras. And the reason we had such a large group of paras is because we were focused on implementing our new curriculum, which is aligned to TS Gold, which focuses on center-based instruction. And we needed to have multiple adults in the room to supervise our groups of kids doing these center-based activities and to make it really successful. Teachers received a day of professional development, which, thank you, Pam, was intimately involved in the development of the curriculum and the professional development along with Alice. And the paras were trained alongside the teachers, which made it very effective for everybody to be a teacher in the classroom. And then the teams were all provided some prep time to plan and prep and set up the classrooms together back at the schools. Each program also had a parent engagement forum on the first day. So parents were invited in to meet the staff, get to know the building, and to spend a little bit of time in the building, but not with their kids. That separation anxiety that first day is really a challenge. And so knowing that they're just down the hallway makes them feel much more relaxed and confident. I put cross-departmental collaboration because putting on a program like this really requires collaboration with nutrition services and transportation. I'm sorry they left because I really wanted to thank them for the immense amount of work that they put into making the program successful. Health services is also involved because we have to prepare health folders for all those kids that are enrolled. Inclusive education is involved in the event that we have students coming from our ECE programs. And information technology is involved as well. They're involved in everything. So this is Jumpstart in action. So we had, on your table, some of you have the Clifford First Day of School book, and some of you have the Sink or Float book. And those were books that we used that were part of our curriculum. The Sink or Float was really fun because it allowed us to do a science and cognitive-based lesson where kids read a book about sinking and floating involving animals, so very sort of backdoor. And then they had a little practice where they would predict if things would float or sink, and then they tested out their hypotheses. So great experience for them. So the outcomes and benefits of a program like this, it's only 3 days. So the academic, let's say, quantitative data is a challenge to gather. So most of our outcomes really are social, emotional, and we do have some benefits that are academic, and I do want to highlight those. So parents and staff get to know the building, they learn about the routines of the school and expectations, and that reduces everybody's stress. The parent engagement forum starts that relationship. You have a reduction in tears and anxiety, increase in student efficacy, and the academic benefits that we were, Jumpstart students become peer models for their classmates. That's a real benefit that sometimes we forget, that we spread those kids out amongst the newer kids that didn't attend, and they were role models. They got to be the leaders. And usually we invited the kids to Jumpstart who did not have preschool. That was our priority, so to give them an opportunity. Academic benefits, also increased opportunity for teachers to teach curriculum starting on day one, because they're not dealing with teaching the routines and whatnot. And then the kids all got in opportunities and exposure to practice academic skills and classroom routines like sitting at the carpet, turn and talk routine, making predictions and things like that. So those are beneficial for them to come into the first day of school with. Jumpstart in action, again. And program evaluation. We have a list of variety of different metrics we're using to try to measure the value of this program. Most of them are qualitative, and as you can see, I have a few that have already been calculated and a number that I'm still working on, because it is all qualitative feedback, so it takes time to read through. So I plan to bring those results back to you at a later point in time, because that feedback will help us to figure out how to continue to tweak and improve the program. That's a jumper float chart. A sinker float chart there. And in conclusion, we have budget and program considerations for continuing these programs after the Race to the Top funding completes. We have our early learning coordinator position, Ms. Humphreys. We have, and that's $72,613, Jumpstart at $30,434, Ready for Kindergarten at $29,897, and then our advisory team, which is simply an opportunity to compensate people for their time. So those are the budget considerations, and thank you and questions. Oh, Anne wants to say one more thing.
I just want to say one more thing and let you know that just as Project 8 is a model project for the ESD, as is our work with pre-K3. We're leaders, and the ESD looks to us, as do other schools in the consortium, the Roadmap Consortium. So kudos to Paige and Alice for their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Maya, you want to start?
Okay, so I appreciate hearing about Jumpstart and the comment that you made that you try to find, or not try to find, but many are not preschoolers. So can you just explain how do you, maybe I missed it, how do you find the kids for Jumpstart?
So thank you for asking that question. We have a little questionnaire that parents fill out when they register, and it elicits information about preschool. So when the families register their kindergartner, we ask about preschool, and then that data is entered in by our IT department, that collaboration, so that we can run a report, so that we can see all the kids and where they came from, all the feeder preschools, who's had preschool and who has not. And we have shared that data with all of our principals so that they know what our feeder preschoolers are, and it's a very powerful data point. So on registration, we know if a kid has had preschool or not, and we can invite them to Jumpstart. So it's a very powerful moment. Okay. So we also prioritize students who are second language learners because we feel that they also needed to have more opportunities to get into the mode for kindergarten. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, I just had a question about our P3 Executive Leadership Institute and how you see that as being beneficial and supporting or, aligning with the work that you're doing, both for our team that's gone through this year as well as like having a team next year.
Oh, thank you for asking. So we've had a cohort of individuals that have attended the University of Washington preschool through third grade Executive Leadership Institute this year. There are 4 of us, 3 of us are in the room. And it has helped us to get to a systems level of thinking around what does it look like to create a preschool through third grade system. And it's given us some tools. We've created a systems map. We have created a theory of change. We are currently just putting the finishing touches on an action research project, which we will be implementing, and I will be reporting back to you on that later this fall when I give you a more comprehensive report on all of our early learning initiatives. So it has a very positive impact in continuing to move the work forward using research-based strategies and frameworks. And we are gearing up to send another cohort of individuals next year, funded through the Race to the Top funds. Have approximately 8 building and central office administrators that are interested in going, which is fantastic. So, and hopefully we'll send another group the following year. Thanks. Thank you.
So I had a question in relationship to the budget numbers that you put up there for consideration. Did the numbers, were they representative of the ones that we just did, or does that take into the schools that you said you want to increase to, especially for the Ready for Kindergarten? Because didn't you say you're increasing to other schools? So those numbers include that increase to those or not?
That's a great question. So with the Ready for Kindergarten, we are able to fund the expansion with a combination of Race to the Top funds and categorical funds.
So if we wanted to expand further or different things, I guess I'm just trying to look for a little bit of what, is that 3 schools, 4 schools, or what is?
That is a great question. If we want to continue to expand, it will require increased investment. This is a wonderful curriculum. It is not inexpensive, but it is a very powerful curriculum. So I would be happy to give you some numbers and get that back to you through Dr. Watts so you can calculate that for yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to know more.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share that with you back through Dr. Watts.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Russ, question? Good. Okay. Maya asked one of the questions I was going to ask about how the kids are selected for the Ready for Kindergarten and/or Jumpstart, I guess.
Well, I'll speak to the Jumpstart, and Alice will speak to the Ready for Kindergarten. So for the Jumpstart, at this point in time with the budget that we have, we can offer 40 slots per school. So I would love to be able to offer it to all students at all schools, but we were working with a budget. So we offer 40 slots, and we prioritize children that have not had preschool and children that are second language learners. And then we expand out from there. So that's at the moment, that's how we prioritize that.
And what, I'm going to say what percentage, you may not have it figured, but of the people that you invite, how many of them actually take you up on it, and how many of them don't? I mean, how many kids could have had this and haven't taken up on the opportunity?
So we could have served, I think, approximately 350 kids. So obviously we didn't meet that goal of serving all those kids, and that's a concern for me that next year I want to be at capacity or have people on the wait list lining up out the door. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Alice will speak to the Ready K.
And as far as enrolling families into the Ready K program, last year it began really at looking at Kent and Neely families. We had facilitators that were willing to be trained from Kent Valley Early Learning Center and Panther Lake. And so we chose those 2 sites to be beginner sites so that we could have staff and build capacity around that. For this year, principals have gotten word of Ready for Kindergarten, and we're seeking to have the program implemented at their schools. So we did target schools that were of high need, and really thinking about the focus and the transition for that kindergarten readiness, and where we would be of hopefully most benefit to students and families before they transition to kindergarten. So maintaining what we had already started, and then building from areas that would be most beneficial to start with. So.
Okay, good. I want to. I think Ann has something. Sorry, Ann.
I just wanted to remind you that when we're talking Race to the Top, we're talking specifically 10 schools that have been identified for Race to the Top. And when we're using these funds, we can't just invite anyone that we might like to invite. However, there are schools out beyond Race to the Top schools that are interested in being involved, and we've worked with our categorical programs to figure out whether or not we can use some of those funds to supplement those programs in those schools as well. And I wanted to make a point about Jumpstart that this was the second year for Jumpstart, But last year, we ran Jumpstart, not this summer, but the summer before this summer, we ran Jumpstart with Race to the Top funds too. The difference being this year was a much more organized program because when we ran Jumpstart the first year, we didn't have Paige and Alice. We filled those positions this last school year, so they spent a great deal of time organizing and really making it an excellent program and one that meets the needs that we have in our district.
I just want to make a comment about those kids being leaders. That's so important. It's just incredibly important for them and their self-esteems, and it could set them off on a really good path just by letting them be the leaders and the models. That's great. Thank you.
I did have a question.
Oh,
it just
right,
took me a little
Go.
while to figure out what I wanted to ask. Sorry. So Best Start for Kids levy, are those dollars going to be able to be allocated, or do you know anything yet if it passes?
What I do know is that that's an equity-based initiative, so that the dollars will be distributed based on need, and that actually Maya and I were, Maya, you were at that presentation yesterday. Mm-hmm. So the dollars will be distributed to districts based on need, and I don't know how much will come to Kent, but I'm sure that we will definitely get a pot of those dollars.
Okay.
Yes, and happy to report back when that happens.
Jumpstart, summer, all that stuff could theoretically be funded through this.
Theoretically, we don't have a firm answer on that, but sure, I think that those are the types of programs that those kind of dollars would fund. So. Mm-hmm.
I have one other question, and what percentage of the families do you feel are involved in that family engagement program?
Again, an excellent question. Family engagement is the area that we really want to improve the most on because we didn't have quite the turnout that we would have liked. We had good turnout, but it was spotty. Some schools had more, some schools had less, but the parents that did attend gave fantastic feedback. So we're looking at how can we make that more convenient for parents and meaningful, and that's why I'm going to be doing some parent focus groups so that we can really get some meaningful feedback from them so that we can tweak the program to be really powerful because it's such an important first contact. So.
I have another question now, just that reminded me. Is there some way that we can make it available and practical for the families that don't speak English to attend and get involved in the school? I know you've done some in Spanish, but I mean, we've got some other communities that might be.
Okay, you're asking about Ready K?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Alice can speak to that.
Actually, I have a meeting scheduled very soon with Dr. Patrick, the principal at East Hill, and his population isn't necessarily largely Hispanic. So we're going to be working on who might be a facilitator for that and how we will invite parents in. Somali culture is very large in his building, and how we're going to be looking at supporting those families. The Ready for Kindergarten program materials currently are only in Spanish and English. That doesn't mean that we can't utilize those materials in a way with facilitator support to provide to families. Yeah.
Good, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, ladies. Good work.
Thank you for all of your questions. We love talking about what we're doing.
I can tell. That's
And
great.
how should we get the materials back to you and the kids?
Oh, Kathy has generously offered to gather them.
Kathy's our go-to.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to our discussion and approval part of the agenda for Resolution 1474, the revision of 2016 school programs and operations levy. So we need a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 1474, establishing and certifying the 2016 general fund school programs and operations excess levy to $70,951,451 from $79 million.
I so move.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right. Do we have any discussion or questions on that? All had a chance to read it. Taking a little think time. All right, okay, so all those in favor of approving the adoption of Resolution 1474, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on to resolution number 1475, the cancellation of warrants. We need a motion to approve resolution number 1475, authorizing the cancellation of warrants.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Do we have discussion or questions? Okay, again, we all had a chance to read those. All those in favor of approving resolution number 1475, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you. 4.03, new transition outreach program facility approval of Ayers Building System LLC purchase order. So we need a motion to approve the purchase order in the amount of $3,125,189.13 issued to Ayers Building Systems LLC for construction, transport, and setting of the building.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion or questions on that?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
So if, is this a locked-in deal? Can they do change orders, or if they did it on the cheap, they get to keep the upside? Where, if it costs more or less, what's the recourse for either party?
This is, it's like a construction project. That's their bid price to do it. We don't anticipate any change orders because they're designing the building and they base their estimate or their cost on the actual design. They're doing all the detailed drawings. So we shouldn't have any change orders. All the site work and everything else is being done by a separate contract that we'll bid out at the time, and that's when you'll run into unforeseen conditions because you're actually digging in the ground.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'd just like to make a comment that I'm just still super excited about this project and the ability to expand the TOPS program.
Yeah, I am too. I really am too. And the fact that it's happening
so
quickly. Yeah. All right, if there aren't any other questions or items for discussion?
I just need to understand a little bit how this is a program but not a school and no impact fees were used, or is that like some artsy financial wonky stuff that you're doing, or this is the way it really is?
I'm having conversations with OSPI to see if we can use impact fees. Now, the problem we have is it's not a school, it's a program. And that's one. The second thing is that you can use impact fees to provide for new space. We are providing for new space with this program, but not for the school. So we're still talking about it, but I'm not going to say no, that we're not going to be able to use them, and I'm not going to say yes, we can. It's just, we're still talking about it.
Okay, so it's possible.
They're still talking about it.
We're still talking about it. And one of the issues
it wouldn't be possible.
One of the issues you have to be careful about is if you want to say that's a school, then you got to get a school number. You have to have a principal. I mean, you got to create a school. So
I like the space, though. I like the space argument. That seems to be more what you said about it's more space.
Well, it's more space, and that's what developer fees are good for. And it's not a question if it's a school.
Right.
But there's additional cost in it if you want to make it a school.
No. All right. I don't want to make it a school, I guess, but because this comes from operations, correct?
It's coming out of the sale of property.
Oh, that's right.
Out of the capital. So it's not coming out of general fund money.
Right, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor of approving the motion to purchase, the purchase order in the amount of $3,125,189.13 issued to the Ayers Building System LLC for construction, transport, and setting of the building, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. Moving on to 4.04, it's a second reading and adoption of revised policy 2410, graduation requirements. We need a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of revised policy 2410.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion or questions?
Yes, I had a question on the graduation of students receiving special education services. Are they able to, my understanding was that they can only look at the certificate of individual achievement. Can they also do the certificate of academic achievement? They could do either one. Okay. Okay. Just clarification. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the second reading and adoption of revised policy 2410, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, 4.05, second reading and adoption of new policy 2418, the waiver of high school graduation credits. We need a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of revised policy 2410.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion or questions on that? Okay. Then all those in favor of approving the second reading and adoption of revised policy 2410, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull an item for discussion?
No.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda as it stands.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Thank you. Moving on to communication from the audience. We have one card. Jacob Dreyfus, you want to step up to the podium over here? This one, sorry. To your left. I was going to say to your right, but that didn't. To my right, your left.
That's okay.
And Jacob, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jacob Dreyfus. I live at 11328 Southeast Kent Kangley Road. I'm here to talk to the school board tonight about the culminating project, and I'm here to ask that the school board strongly consider getting rid of the culminating project altogether. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel that the culminating project is nothing more than a barrier to a child graduating, a high school student graduating. I believe that the most important thing for a student to concentrate on is his grades. The culminating project so far over the last 3 years, I'm now a senior at Kent Meridian High School, has not helped me at all. It has not benefited me at all. It has not prepared me for life outside of high school, such as with college, with a job or anything else. The only beneficial thing that I've gotten out of the culminating project would be community service. I think you guys should keep that. That's extremely important for students to be involved in their community and to learn what it's like to help others. I found an article, the Spokesman Review, Washington State got rid of the culminating project as a requirement and left it up to the districts. I have here a student, a politician, and a school representative from Spokane all saying that this needs to be taken out and needs to be taken care of. A student named by the name of Jennifer Taylor from North Central High School, she's a senior, wrote that it really makes me upset and that this has done nothing but stress me out, and this was her biggest worry about graduating on time. I'm not the only student at Kent Meridian High School that thinks that this should be gotten rid of. I've talked to a majority of students that believe that the culminating project does not benefit them, it does nothing but hurt them and their chances of graduating. I'm going to be honest with you, I wake up every morning scared that I'm not going to graduate this year because the workload from the culminating project is so large. And I have sleepless nights wondering, where does my future stand? I'm trying to concentrate on my grades, pass all of my classes, which I'm doing well. I'm an A and B student. On top of that, now I have a culminating project. I found out at the end of my junior year that they were changing the program to Naviance, completely revising it. Most of the stuff that I worked on for 3 years no longer was a requirement. And now all these things that are a requirement are still too large of a workload for me to worry about. I have stuff going on outside of school, and like I said, I have my grades to concentrate on. Representative Jason Overstreet sat there and said he supported the bill to eliminate the project as a graduation requirement, and that it was drafted by an East Valley High School student by the name of Tiffany Stewart, who launched the effort as her senior project. I understand my time is up. In closing, I'm going to say that behind you, it says successfully preparing all students for their futures. As long as this culminating project exists and still is in place, students' futures are in jeopardy, and students' chances of graduating are going to suffer. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jacob. We really appreciate hearing the student voice. We have another one back there. Oh, you have 3 minutes. Sandra Walker.
Already is brief, isn't it? My name is Sandra Walker. I have 2 students in the Kent School District. Both of them are in inclusive education. One is 21, almost 21 this year. She's in her last year. And then I have a daughter who's a senior at Kent Ridge that will be in the top program. We are so excited about the new building, and thank you for all that you've done. I think many of us now have the concern about having a brand new beautiful building and not being prepared with the staff and the resources for the students that are going to come there. My daughter has stayed in the high school setting, which was not optimum for her. She has a lot of physical needs. She's in a wheelchair, but you have kids with anxiety disorders and behavioral disorders. I'm not feeling like there's a lot of planning going on in that aspect. So I'd like to charge you to make sure that when we open in February, which I'm sure we're going to do, we have all those things in place too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, that's the last communication from the audience, so we're moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Watts?
Thank you, President DeBruler, and good evening, everyone. I want to say first and foremost that I am very pleased to hear the presentation, particularly our projects 7 and 8 during our work session today. I want to pay very close attention to the fact that our goals are nothing short of increasing opportunities for students to access more rigorous coursework, certainly more rigorous assessments. And this, in turn, would leverage increased knowledge, skills, and abilities so that our students, particularly those from underrepresented populations, can have greater access to college upon graduation, and not just enrolling, but persisting and graduating from college. The second item I want to share has to do with our proclamations tonight. I think, we often hear in the media, just outside, general public, general conversations that public education is often either under attack or underfunded or underappreciated, quite frankly. And knowing what I know about, we as Kent School District are a part of 15,000 school districts who serve and support 86% of our school-age children. We have an awesome responsibility, and the onus, for the most part, is on us. And so I appreciate hearing the good news about those who either teach or support those who teach. And we heard our proclamations, whether it be National School Lunch, certainly our principals, and don't want to leave anyone out. And so I want to make sure that I am reminded,
bus safety.
Yes, of our National School Bus Safety, those who transport, our directors of first impressions each and every day, our school principals, and our PT, our physical therapy specialists who support our students who have differing needs, and our special guest in our Filipino American History Month proclamation as well. This leads to community leadership opportunity, and I will say I appreciated the meeting that took place this past week with our Somali American Parent Association. It provided an opportunity for a very robust conversation about the needs of a community as it extends to our willingness and ability to serve and support those needs. I heard very loudly and clearly after a fine meal that family and community engagement was number one, followed by an opportunity to serve our communities even at greater levels with an employee liaison, someone who could actually connect and engage with the community, who is also literally connected with Kent School District, and ultimately to provide services that supported our students not only during the instructional day, but perhaps before and after school. Certainly we're caring of all of our students, certainly concerned that there were needs that were perceived were not being met by the Kent School District, and on behalf of our board, I stand here committed to serve the needs of that community who was there that evening, but also the needs of our entire Kent School District, and look forward to that opportunity. As difficult and challenging as it will be, it's a great opportunity for us all. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. Russ, do you have something to share with us?
I suppose. You know, I do a lot, and I never bother writing it down, so this time I just went through my calendar and figured out what I exactly did. Really enjoyed the Mill Creek open house. I thought it was extraordinarily well run, great participation, and it just was, you know, when there's 40 parents in one classroom, that's good energy. I think it's very encouraging to the teachers. So really enjoyed the open house, got a really great vibe from that. I went to the Kent Area PTA Candidate Forum where there was more candidates than voters. Went to the regional meeting, which you guys can talk about that. There's a good representation. That was always great to network with other board members and hear their unique issues that I'm glad we don't have to face. Went to the Kent Meridian football game, great spirit. Again, really impressed with the coaches, the kids. I really do like to mingle down on the field. So it's probably the best perk maybe of being a school board member is that field access and that up closeness, and just to kind of really be, it's not like you get to mingle in a classroom, but it's kind of almost the same atmosphere of seeing that great vibe going. And then had the opportunity to go to the Kent Youth and Family Services Candidate Forum, where I just threw the bomb off in the room at the end of the discussion about dress codes versus uniforms, and it took a life of its own. I'm sorry, Karen, they were late because they couldn't stop their own discussion on that. You know, and I know we're not in the habit of commenting on public comments, but I really do think Sandra brings up a very, very good point. There are lessons to be learned from iGrad. We had some real serious growth pains that I hope we don't repeat with the new TOPS building. We were more successful than we planned, and I think, you know, Carol the principal there, did amazing work with not enough staff. So I hope that, you know, we're optimistic and we're ready with our programs to go for the TOPS program. So I appreciate that comment very much. She left.
Maya?
Okay, so I just really enjoyed our fall graduation this year, as always. It's great to see the kids come out not fearful of being here on their own. It was just great chatting with them. I want to thank all the folks who came out to the Kent Food Bank fundraiser. I heard there were 12 people other than board members and Dr. Watts, so thank you so much for all your support. I don't know how much we collected, but I know that we had the largest crowd ever, and we were running out of room there, so thank you so much for all your participation on that. And I also want to mention that I am going to take part in an advocacy caucus through the Roadmap Project. The Roadmap Project is trying to understand where all of our funding comes and goes. And none of us have a really good sense of what percentage of our levy money is being used for what. The districts have asked for a caucus, and I'm always digging, so I'd like to understand it much better. And so they've hired a consultant to come in and gather data for the from 2012 to 2013 school year until 2016-17 school year. To kind of look at where funding is coming from and where it's going. So it's going to be a detailed study of our finances for the 7 districts in the Roadmap region. And I also want to thank the Somali American Parent Association for our gathering. I was just very impressed to hear our families, feel comfortable in talking to the board members and to Dr. Watts. You have to understand how rare that is, where they feel that comfortable. And, that they felt empowered to speak up. I've dealt with bullying issues in the Sikh community since 2002. That's when I came to the district and got really involved in this district when Sikh children were being bullied and harassed, and none of our educators knew about it. So the similar things are happening in other communities, and it's not until we hear from these communities there's a realization that this is our #1 problem. If you look at our Healthy Youth Survey for the last 10 years, bullying is right up there. So I would like to kind of understand how we're keeping track of, this sort of not just discipline, but this HIB issue that keeps coming up in all of our communities. So that, and then this morning I had a chance to attend Jobs for Washington Graduates. It's a program that I didn't realize is happening at Kent Meridian already, but it's a nationwide program to help our kids get through graduation and help them understand that there's a lot of power to being resilient and to understanding, what's expected beyond high school. And so apparently we already have a program at KM. I didn't know that until I got there. They're looking to expand to all the middle schools and high schools, and right now they're only in Washington State in about 20 districts and 40 schools. So it seems like a very very fruitful initiative. So something to look into, I guess. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Maya. Agda?
Let's see, one of the events I was at was our College Bound Scholarship Conference on Saturday, and it was just so inspiring to see the students there and their families and filling up the gym at Green River and see what our partnership with Green River is all about and those students learning. So it's very inspiring. And so then tonight I brought my my college shirt from my daughter's college and Kathy made wonderful signs for all of you, so hopefully we can have those and take a photo afterwards, because I'm really excited that once again Kent School District is participating in the College and Career Day on Friday. So I want us to show that we're supportive of that too. And then I'm really looking forward to reading Excellence in Equity. So thank you, Kathy, for getting that for all of us. And I look forward to our book study about it so we can learn together. And I'm really excited to go to the WASDA conference this year because Pedro Nugera, one of the authors of this book, is going to be speaking there. And then I'm also really looking forward to and encouraging you all to let Kathy know that you can go to the equity convening that's going to be happening that Puget Sound ESD will be putting on in November. And then on this coming Monday, I'm still working on my talking notes for us, and I only have 3 minutes too, so I'm trying to be really thoughtful about what I can say on our behalf, since the topic is related to the levy funds and fully funding education. And I know some of you will also be there too, and that's at Puget Sound ESD. I believe it's at 5 p.m. on Monday. So that's it for my report.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, I'd also, the College Bound Scholarship event is always one of my favorites to go. I've enjoyed going. I think I've made it all 5 years that we've had it now, and being able to see just the enthusiasm and to be able to see the students being engaged with their parents. And I think that's one of the things we've talked about a lot, is that family engagement, and the fact that there were probably at least an equal number of parents and students there is so key to those success of those students. And then I also was at the WASDA regional meeting, and it's a great opportunity for board members to be able to hear not only from other directors from other areas, but also there's representatives from OSPI and others to give us information as well as what's going on. And so always look forward to those. And then finally, I'd like to just say I'm still involved in the Kent Schools Foundation, and we are gaining ground. You'll probably see there was something coming up in regards to United Way. So you're able to give to the foundation through United Way this year. And one of the things we're looking for, who are key people in the community. So I don't always know all the key people. So if you have key people that you think would be good to be involved with the foundation, please email me and let me know, so we can also reach out to those people, because really the purpose of the foundation is to help us to be able to support the school in different areas. So I'll be looking for at least one email from somebody here. So that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you. Well, I also, as you guys are saying that, I thought, oh yeah, I did that too. The fall graduation, there was one student, I think his name was Ung.
Yes.
But he was grinning from ear to ear, and he couldn't stop grinning, and he was so infectious. He was so happy to be graduating, and the families, many of the families, I mean, there weren't that many kids here, but many of the families came up and said, thank you for making this such a celebration, that it was really important that it's a celebration. So that made me totally in favor of doing this every single year. Kent Youth and Family Services candidate forum, because Debbie and I are running. Russ ran late, so Debbie and I are both running unopposed. So Debbie said, why don't we just go in and talk with them about partnerships and things like that we could do. So we really talked about things that we're invested in, and we heard from them too, and I think it was really a fruitful meeting. Going to the directors regional meeting in Issaquah, the topic was changing school start times, and we heard from different school directors about the problems with it and who's going to go ahead with it and how they're doing it, and so that's all I'm going to say about that. It's at the Kent Food Bank fundraiser, and really was well attended, I thought. I mean, that was the first one I've been to, but a lot of people there. And then last Saturday, the College Bound Day, again, it's just so inspiring to see those kids and their families sitting there in the bleachers at the very beginning in the opening session. And listening, and then I went to some of the breakout sessions with them, and we had some glitches with getting onto Green River Wi-Fi and getting onto Naviance, but that was something hopefully we can get worked out. And then we had the Somali dinner and meeting, and I didn't know what to expect. I just thought it was going to be a meeting, and we walked into the hall, and all these tables are set up beautifully with the colors of the Somalian flag, and that's white and blue, and all the people were there, and there were kids and moms and dads and community representatives, and it was really a great event. I loved it when one of the spokes people got up and he started speaking in language other than English, and he explained, when you have a majority here who, you speak to the majority of the language, and so he was speaking to the Somalians there, and I just thought that was great. Of course, they interpreted for us, but I thought it was really great, and it put us in the feel of what it must be like to have people around you speaking another language that you don't necessarily understand. They were so passionate, they were so kind, and so passionate about talking to us. Each one of us was there, we had people just waiting in line to talk to us, and it was really great. And there was one mom came up and to me afterwards, and she said, I was really angry, but she said, now I'm happy. And it really felt good. And then I talked to two young people who one of them has his master's and another one who's getting her master's, and they both would love to work in the district as the liaison type outreach, whatever. And so we have names. And hopefully we can move forward with it. It's a great partnership. So I was just really impressed. I thought about that a lot today. Very good. So that's all I have, other than there is a work session on school improvement plans for priority schools next Wednesday at 5:30 here in the boardroom. So, and I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in California with their heat wave. So, that being said, we are adjourned.
Stay for the photo.
We have to go.